As the White House, the November midterm elections already a hot topic, even though it's only March. And as our next guest knows, every single vote counts. Former Senator, the current CEO of the American Action Network, Norm Coleman, joins us from Washington, along with Fred Malek, our guest host this morning. Senator, good to have you with us. Good morning.
Good to be here with you. Thank you.
So we're all wondering what the strategy is going into November. Everybody's got different opinions. David Frum wrote this piece that's now become famous on Sunday night, talking about how the Republicans, in the case of health care, in his words, went for all the marbles and we ended up with none. So does the strategy need to change going into November?
The piece that Frum wrote right after that was that it's not about just about say no, repeal, but make change, repeal and replace. And I really do think that's a strategy. Let me say this. The measurement that counts in politics is not the poll that takes place in March or April, but what happens in November. And as I can tell you, I know and others know, things change quickly. In 2008, we were riding high. We thought we had an insurmountable lead. We were winning on the energy debate. Remember, drill, baby, drill. The war in Iraq had become a sidebar. And then the market collapsed. And the total, everything changed. But the bottom line is this, that even the Pew poll, health care isn't the #1 issue. We're going to have this debate about health care. But debt and the economy and the debt that's being foisted upon this generation next, that's going to be an issue. And this health care bill, everybody knows that the projections that CBO gives for a $132 billion surplus over 10 years, that's based on assumptions that aren't going to take place. We're not going to cut Medicare reimbursements to docs for 21%, and we're probably not going to be taxing excise tax on high-cost insurance plans. Doug Hotzekin, the head of our Center for American Action Forum, which Fred knows, and he said this is a $562 billion cost. So bottom line, by November, jobs are still going to be the issue. Debt is still going to be an issue. This bill is going to add to debt, and I think in the end that's our advantage. So it's not just about saying no, it's saying we don't want more debt. We don't want something that's going to hurt the average, the American citizen, the senior, and this plan certainly doesn't do the positive things.
The Democrats, of course, are counting on a few things. A, that the jobs picture will be much better in 6 months. B, that federal law typically trumps state law. And third, that it's hard to run on the platform of taking something away from the public that they now have.
I don't think they're running on a platform of taking away. In other words, it's not just what we're saying, which is reality, that this bill and what's being done here is going to result in a significant, massive increase in debt and deficit. Already the projections are that over the next 10 years, we're looking at about $17 trillion in debt. About $800 billion in interest payments on that debt. That's about a third of the discretionary budget. So when you look at, get away from the debate today, look to the future. I have no doubt that the economy will be an issue. If the Dems are believing that somehow there's some magical turnaround, that's something that I haven't heard. It's not something that I've heard from the folks either on Main Street or on Wall Street. This is a slow recovery, economy an issue, and I got to tell you, you're hearing me talk about debt and deficit. All the years that I've been in public office, that was never an issue. People didn't care, but when you start talking about trillions, all of a sudden something has happened. So it's an issue this year, and I got to believe it'll be an issue in November, and this bill only adds fuel to that fire.
Well, not surprising, Norm and I kind of agree on this. But Norm, you were also a former mayor of St. Paul, and you created jobs and brought a lot of jobs to the city when you were mayor. This particular bill does raise taxes. I saw Mitt Romney just said that they're going to lay off 1,000 people because of taxes, increased taxes. You got a lot of medical companies in Minnesota. What do you think the impact on jobs is going to be, particularly in Minnesota?
So there are more, I think, Boston Scientific employees in Minnesota than in Boston. Medical technology, Medtronics, cardiac pacemaker, Boston Scientific, they're kind of the mainstay, of a real core of our economy. As a mayor, I was a mayor for 8 years, didn't raise taxes. I grew jobs. By the way, I was a Democrat when I started and ended up switching to the Republican. But in part, it's because my efforts to keep lids on taxes were opposed by my Democrat friends. But the bottom line, Fred, is you know and I know that you want to grow a job, you keep lids on taxes, you get capital out in the marketplace. This bill's not going to help either of those, and as a result, if the economy is shaky, if jobs are the issue, and again, I keep getting back to debt. I'm harping something that a year ago I wouldn't have even talked about. But I got to believe that for whatever reason, we hit that trillion figure, in deficits, and it's growing, that you're not going to have an electorate that's going to be thrilled simply because you put $256 filling a budget.